Hi all, I'm Adam the Red. Join me today as we answer the question, Angerfoot, is it any fun to play? Now Angerfoot drew me in with its cool art style and the emphasis on door kicking, all backed up by some positively banging beats. And let me tell you, it did not disappoint. Angerfoot is a first-person foot meets face simulator developed by the Chads over at Free Lives and published by the legendary Devolver Digital. Taking some inspiration from games like Hotline Miami and Leonidas from the 2007 masterpiece, 300. We play as the masked anti-hero Angerfoot, chasing down these pairs of primo sneakers stolen by one of each of the city's major crime lords. The gangs that we meet on this kick-tastic journey are the Violence Gang, the Pollution Gang, the Business Gang, and the Debauchery Gang. Our first stop for our hero on his path of revenge is the Violence Gang. The game's stellar and in-your-face soundtrack is on you from the moment you get to the Violence Gang's apartments. The thumping bass really makes door kicking and kicking really intense. The tempo of the beats push you along and really help to boost the adrenaline rush from the rooms that are 2 hits and you're dead kind of vibe. Bringing that same fresh intensity as Hotline Miami, but from a first-person perspective. Now, as we and Angerfoot cut our way through the Violence Gang apartments, we get our first gun. The trusty old reliable 9mm pistol. The shooting in this game kind of reminded me of CSGO in a funny way. I found my accuracy peaking whenever I'd stop for half a second to pull off those trickier shots. Now the game's main combat loop is short and very sweet. Levels can be completed in minutes, encouraging replaying for better times, and getting all 3 stars with the game's many different level-based challenges. Therefore, once we clear a few more buildings, we manage to cut through to our next weapon, the Uzi 9mm, and more mobile enemies, the Poochers. Doggos and 2 legs that are very handy with an SMG and aren't afraid to shred you if you give them the chance. The level design, even early on, as the Violence Gang, picks up very quickly. Enemies start appearing out of walls and in super tight corners, really pushing your reactions to the test. But the SMG doggos aren't the only surprise in store for us in the Violence Gang tenements. We now need to contend with pigeons with shields. You hear them by their loud hooting noises and need a solid kick from Angerfoot's legendary foot to get through their shields. Therefore, after clearing the first batch of tenements, the action-packed levels are broken up with some more chill exploration chapters, giving us a nice break in the super tight pacing and giving off some of the city's vibes when they aren't trying to kill you. Their world is built around crime. It's as normal as crossing the street or going to the shops. Goons muse about their gangs and neighborhoods, really setting a solid vibe for Shit City. But after we've managed to catch our breath, we head back into the gang tenements, whose level design is getting more complex and more layered, having rooms loop in on one another, encouraging balls to the wall aggression to make that sweet progression. Which doesn't stop with combat mastery, but the shoes come into play in a big way, spicing up your runs. From giving you extra ammo on a kick, to a very 1990s hack giving all the enemies big heads, which really gives the potential to make each run wildly different thanks to each of Angerfoot's cool pairs of shoes. Through the game's levels that challenge range from time-based challenges to doing feet-only runs, and other various challenges that really encourage replays and getting those coveted 3 stars. Now back to the action. The basic combat loop is so satisfying. The super focused gunplay and combat backed up by that bang and bass really gets you into a zone that is a truly great time. But the boss for the Violence Gang won't be found at the bottom floor, so we head onto the apartment roofs. Now we come up against a pesky sniper and all the classic goons doing some light platforming, leaping from building to building like a real badass. Just a shame I can't fire 2 pistols while jumping through the air and going but still, a very fun section. A quick shout out to the chimney jumping section, a great little fight where to avoid the sniper that will one-shot you if you stand still for too long, you need to hop from chimney to chimney to chimney to rapidly avoid the sniper and deal with the grenadiers on each chimney, culminating into a dive in a nearby pool that is damn cool stuff. Therefore, after we've conquered the rooms and rooftops of the Violence Gang, it's time to face down their leader, the Goo Cop. Half goo, half cop. He flies around in his chopper trying to play chicken with Angerfoot. Bosses in Angerfoot have 3 phase affairs. Goo Cop's first phase is the aforementioned chicken run, a lot of dodging his charge attacks and getting in a kick here and there, followed up by a bombing run, and then having to 1v1 a 1997 hatchback for its final phase, which kind of reminded me of cruising with my mates back when I was 18. The hatchback does sick drifts and tries to hit you with this dangerously large sea mine attached to its rear. But Goo Cop is no match for our hero, so we send Goo Cop crashing down to the ground floor. Much later, we awaken to the boss of the next gang, Big Slime, the leader of the Pollution Gang, as he finishes off the defeated Goo Cop and looks on Angerfoot promising sweet revenge. The Pollution Gang's turf is a little different to the Violence Gang's tenements. The pollution gang has you charging through sewers. But don't let the sewers get you down very quickly. Angerfoot gets his hands on the game's shotgun. Keeping with the fast and aggressive feel, you only get a couple of shells, but they're always incredibly effective and a real blast to lose. But because this game is inspired by the legendary Hotline Miami, our new enemy type is a shotgun-wielding dude who is a menace in tight corners and likes to flip you off in combat, adding an extra little incentive to dispatch him nice and quickly. This game really doesn't let up with all the cool new unlocks. Our next pair of shoes that I really vibe with are the Detonators. High-top inspired cleats that when you kick it in a door, the very same doors explode on contact, making Angerfoot's entrances that much more spicy. New sewers, new enemy. This time we're getting harassed by baddies that have a rather annoying tendency to snatch you from where you were and drag you into whatever toxic sludge is nearby. All this carnage and all this chaos. And we get another great musical vibe for the soundtrack for the Pollution Gang, keeping our toxic adventures as vibey as they are bloody green. Therefore, once we come upon the labs of Big Slime, we get a new weird green enemy, a diaping-wearing mutant that likes to shoot at you from afar, and if you manage to wake it up. It's another great section. Shout out is experimental facility, a lot of tight, chaotic research areas, and the introduction of the gun-wielding mutant tentacles, making the level as varied as it is crazy. Followed up by Tentacle Teardown, a tentacle focus level that has you jumping and dashing around sewer pipes. But we've come to the last sewer on this polluted journey, and the final showdown with Big Slime. Now, Big Slime is an overgrown slime dude that is 3 stories tall and is straight thuggin'. Rocking a beanie and gold chain, he gives off strong 90s vibes. But being a boss fight, his first phase has him pull you onto a large platform in a room full of toxic sludge and do the iconic move made famous in the Soul series, a good old-fashioned ass crash attack, slamming himself into the arena with full force, followed up by a massive sweep attack, taking any opportunities you can to plant one on his chin and open up his second phase. Once his second phase has arrived, he turns into a giant blob monster and throws buried shit at you. As he starts to bring enemies in and cronies to the party, this phase really needs you to kick his junk back at him. Sprint away when it's junk throwing time, and then square up when he picks up a red barrel. The perfect return to sender moment. If you kick a few of those barrels back at him, we come to Big Slime's phase 3, but it isn't more of the same grotesque vibes. We journey into the blob's stomach and 1v1 Big Slime's brain with a 12 gauge, making phase 3 the easiest of the lot. Now a handful of charge attacks and the ugly fucker is done for. We catch up with our hero and his girlfriend later as they plan the next move, hitting the business gang, but not before Angerfoot's girlfriend kicks Pollution Brain right in the balls, and they head for the business gang's domain. Now hot on the trail of the business gang in a new area of Shit City, the subway station. I don't know about you all, but the subway is a nice change of scenery from the charming city sewers, and I'm a fan of the level transitions. As for the early part of the business gang chapter, each beginning and end of a level has you start and exit from a new train car, keeping everything feeling really connected, but with every new era comes new enemies and new tactics. The pesky baddies from earlier are living up to their namesake. Now they love to drag you into oncoming trains, so I'd target them as soon as they appear to avoid being turned to paste. Another new enemies are the hood rats. Writing this now, I get the joke. The hood rat is a knife wielder that sprints at you full speed, hoping to shank you. They're harmless on their own, but a real pain in groups. Now it's just fun blasting goons through the terminals while the music plays in the background because this game, as I previously mentioned, is inspired by Hotline Miami. The combat keeps you locked in and focused because you're always on that knife edge. But that is the end of the subway, and we finally made our way to the offices of the business gang. A new fun surprise as we cut our way through the office building. Goons now pop out of the ceiling and try to get a sneaky shot in. Lots of fun fights, large amounts of goons gunning for you. The office space is great for close and chaotic fights, keeping with the game's strengths. Once again, it's shout-out time. Now, as we cut our way through the offices of the business gang, there's a great nail-biting section, as you get mobbed by a great gang of hood rats and have to frantically contend with the horde of them before moving on. A real solid, oh shit moment, you know? Now, after all that chaos, it looks like it's going to be a good day after all. After taking out a few of the new enemies, the executives with their very Illuminati vibes, I pick up the AK. As I come to the executive bathroom lunchroom, the AK is a beast in combat, dropping most enemies with a single burst. Therefore, with the power granted to us by this new tool, we make it all the way to the top and finally get our chance to 1v1 the CEO of the business gang. She's a rich cat lady that fits in with the depraved corporate energy of her gang. Her first phase is pretty easy. She sprints between the pillars of her penthouse, shooting at you. She's fast and agile, but goes down easy enough. Credit to the CEO though, her second and third phase really gave me trouble. Her second phase entails her following the Liver King 9 ancestral tenants and bulking up and going for you with a pretty devastating minigun. Myself, I had mixed luck going at her second phase, ranged, so I found that getting up close and forcing melee is a much easier time. But the CEO is saving her best phase for last. In a very Doom 2016 final phase, she picks up a mech suit and bounces around the arena shooting devastating rockets your way, all the while cutting off parts of the arena with a one-shot laser force field. This section now can be tough. If the missiles she fires at you land, make sure to keep moving. Once the third phase is dealt with, it's off to our last stop before the Crime Minister, the Debauchery Gang. Now, the Debauchery Gang's buildings are very classical in their architecture, kind of letting us know that we're stepping into something much darker and much older than the places that we've previously been. New chapter and a new shout out. There's a kinda hilarious fight in the Caress nightclub, as once you kick things off in there, all the goons slide down the poles of the club to go after you, while confetti and other craziness happens around you. It made me chuckle. But once we've survived that little show, we come across a new weapon, the crossbow, and crow-like enemies to back it up. The crossbow kinda made me feel like I was playing a 90s shooter. Upon prepping it to fire, the weapon sits in the center of the screen in that comfy 90s style and has you dodge in and out of cover, taking shots at the enemies. Now, the crossbow brings another level of tension to the Debauchery chapter, as parts of their levels have long walks with wide open spaces that you can easily get knocked off, so you better keep on the move or be prepared to restart. Therefore, after surviving the catwalks and chaos, we get introduced to another new enemy, the creepy Gimped enemies. Very fast crawling enemies that are usually led by a puppy master, and they love to scream at you. Really, really creepy stuff. But wait, there's more! We get our ass burnt off by the new flamethrower enemy. Their flames are super deadly at close range, and it falls into the classic category of video game flamethrowers that actually work, which is nice from a gameplay perspective, but a real bitch when it's the goons that are toasting you. Which segues into another series of fun levels, fighting through the nightclub, dealing with a pretty fun mix of all the goons that have come before. And we have yet another new enemy to contend with, the Cacademon's kinky cousin, who just happens to be a large spherical demon clad all in leather. Now it's shout out time once again with two super tough levels. The level that has a little murder on the dance floor and dance floor decadence, which are chaotic gauntlets. Now lots of fireballs, enemies of all flavors taking a run at you, capped off with a super fun fight at the Thunderdome. But the Debauchery Gang's challenge doesn't stop there, as it's time for the boss fight with the gang boss, Pizza Pig. By a fucking mile, the toughest boss in the game. His first phase is a fairly straightforward. He pulls out a large pizza cutter and sprints at you across the big stone pizza tray you fight him on. Look for your openings, as occasionally he'll charge and tends to get a little excited and almost fall off, giving you a chance to kick him into his deadly fondue below. But that challenge only gets tougher from here. His second phase sees him eat all the liquid cheese in the arena and turn into some hideous beast that breaks the platform you were fighting on and forces you to the ground. To what is maybe the toughest part of the game, even with the fire starters that negate a lot of the explosive damage, you now need to run from rock to rock, getting the crossbows that are left around the arena and shoot at his overgrown nipples as they appear in between waves of throwing explosives at you. Now, if you've brought the right shoes, be prepared for a tough time. Dodging the explosives, he will then bring in a wash of his toxic cheese fondue, so your ass better be on the rocks, otherwise you get turned into the pig's personal fondue. Therefore, after scraping through those two phases, we come to phase 3, which gives us a slight reprieve, as his third phase sees Pizza Pig morph into a giant spider, and the arena turns into a massive lake, giving me strong Resident Evil 4 vibes. Now we need to hop into a boat and take it around the arena, blasting the pig as much as we can, while dodging his attacks and all the little mines he spawns that like to track you down. But what is our reward for facing such horrors and surviving, you ask? Well, we're on to the final stretch. It's final time to take down the Crime Minister. Now, because this game likes to keep its action fresh, we start out the final chapter blasting our way across town in Angerfoot's personal ride, smashing into roadblocks and hordes of goons along the way, cutting our path to our final destination, the Crime Minister's Tower. The final few levels of the Crime Minister's Tower end right before his penthouse suite with a massive fight against 50 or so goons, coming in waves that is Spy Star, but giving you a machine gun to mow them down with. This is pretty much the last big horde of Shit City. Now, after more than a couple deaths and restarts on this final level, I managed to survive the onslaught and come face to face with the Prime Minister, who, in an unexpected twist, gives Angerfoot the choice to either throw away his kicking life and adopt normality, or reject modernity and embrace tradition and embrace his true ways. I'm not going to spoil either ending for you, as I think the game is definitely worth the playthrough. Now, to answer the question from earlier, Angerfoot, is it any fun to play? I have to say, abso-fucking-lutely yes. The crazy speed and adrenaline-fueled combat, coupled with the game's humor and whole gameplay loop, is an absolute blast and extremely worth your time. Thank you for sticking with me all the way to the end of the video. I hope it was even as 5% as fun to watch as Angerfoot is to play. Now, thank you all for watching, and I'll see you for the next one.